All right, it looks like I am on air now. Oh, gotta switch Wi-Fi. Can y'all hear me? I hope y'all can hear me, because sometimes it takes a second for me to, for the Wi-Fi to oh, okay, okay, I'm moving to a different room in my house because reasons. And geez, it's been a while before I just started a stream by myself and started talking, so I kind of lost my exact train of thought, which I wanted to go for. Okay, first of all, I more than encourage anybody on YouTube to start archiving your favorite videos from your favorite YouTubers, because we do not know what is going to happen to the YouTubers that you love. So I would be absolutely heartbroken if my channel was taken down. You guys, I've really only been doing this since July. I had a few videos prior to July, I think. My first video was uploaded in May, and it was a robot voice video, and I did probably 6 or 7 robot voice videos, and they weren't particularly good. I was still getting used to the format of YouTube, and what's really watchable, and how to really pace a short video. Just because I've never worked in internet video before. My background as a theater maker and playwright and performance artist has been in music and live events where you had the undivided attention of the audience and they couldn't really go anywhere. So you could get away with a lot more in the way that, like, you could do a 15-minute performance and it could be mostly totally boring. Um, and then, like, 5 minutes of it could be good, and people would be like, oh, it was so good, yeah, it was so cool, blah 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 blah. But like, then you watch the tape of it and you're like, this is hysterically boring. Like, I can't believe I was up there fiddling, like putting my shoes on, like I changed shoes halfway through that performance. What was I thinking? Why would people want to see that? So when you start doing YouTube and you don't have perfect audio or whatever, which like when I first started recording my audio, I had a kind of a ramshackle thing going through my old computer, and there was like a buzz, so that was really bad sounding, and yeah, just little things. But I started really making videos around July, and when I started making videos in July, I got really into it, because as soon as people could hear my voice and hear what I was actually having to say, I got a lot of really, really positive feedback from people early on, which is great. It's wonderful. I really appreciate my audience. And I realized it was just so much more fulfilling than it was for me to try to go out in Seattle, where I live, which is, like one of the most irritating cities in the world in terms of SJWs, and and like try to talk to people about things that actually mattered. Because one, they didn't want to hear it. They just didn't want to hear it. They wanted to pretend that politics didn't matter at all. And then two, they were drastically affected by politics. These were people who, like, they didn't want to hear about the election. They didn't want to hear about, how Hillary Clinton was totally stealing the nomination from Sanders. They didn't want to hear that shit. And then when I would try to explain feminism and how it was so related to politics, they'd be like, "Well, but my sister's a feminist. I was raised by. I mean, I'm a feminist," and I'd be like, "Well, yeah, but what do you know about feminism?" And they'd be basically, they would know nothing. So it was just this. Like, I don't know what they wanted to talk about, but apparently I was not able to talk to these people. So YouTube was such a wonderful outlet for me, and I have, if you guys have noticed, I've basically made a YouTube video almost every day since July. And I have well over 100 videos on my channel. I don't even know how many there are. to be honest. I just don't. So if I lost all of this, it would be tragic. So the thing that's motivating um this stream, this live stream, what I'm talking about, this stream of consciousness, is the whole nonsense that's going on. The combination of what happened to PewDiePie, then what happened to Milo, and Sargon was banned from Twitter today. And there's this list circulating. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I just saw it, I think, last night for the first time. Maybe today. Again, it's in Sargon's new video. They have a list, like sort of a hit list of people that are going to be banned from Twitter. And it includes basically who you would think, people like Lauren Southern and probably Paul Joseph Watson. I saw Blair White on there, Naked Ape. The people that you would expect Twitter with their political leanings not to want on Twitter. And it's a really messed up thing. And this is how I see it, and I don't see any other way to look at it. And I think anybody who's gonna look at it like this, that's not like this. Anybody who chooses to not believe this, they're going to say, oh, that this is a wacky conspiracy theory. I think that they're just being completely naive if they don't see this, which is that Twitter especially, but Facebook too, it became very apparent. A lot of their profit margins depend on partisanship, to the point where Twitter especially, I think, because Twitter's never been a profitable business. How the fuck does Twitter bring in any money at all? Facebook, I can see it. I can see how they would, because there's a whole shit ton of advertising on Facebook, and there has been for a long time. And people really, really, like the average American can get really, really into being on Facebook, because there's so much, you can type long posts, and you can post videos now, and there's all sorts of groups, and, but like Twitter is just, really for me, all it is YouTube networking. That's the only fucking reason I use Twitter. And, it's just not that in depth of an experience. I just don't see how advertising can be useful, and YouTube just barely breaks even anyway. So what I'm thinking is that Twitter entirely was a platform with political intentions. And I've had this conspiracy theory for well over a year, maybe like 2 years. And I like to think of it like this. I think that Twitter, when they created the platform, they created it knowing that they were going to have a political bias, and they also created it knowing that it would lead to drama, and that drama was going to be good for as long as it was biased, as long as they could report in a very biased way on that drama, then they could make it politically useful. So they have the 140 character limit, which is completely unreasonable. There's no good reason for that, and there never should have been. I can definitely understand why somebody would make a character limit just to keep the messages brief, so you're not like going on some big long thing, because that means that if you have something quick to say to a celebrity, that has no reason to pay attention to you, then like it's good to keep it concise, because it makes Twitter useful in that way, because it's like, okay, maybe 500 people have something to say to me, and maybe I'll listen to some of it if they can say it in a few sentences. But having it only be 140 characters is insane. I think it should have been like 250 characters, and I like to think that they made it so short that it just made it so that people would get into fights, and then they could selectively edit what happened in the fights. And, Twitter became a great way to ruin people's lives and make it out that people were a certain way when they weren't. And I know that it was always not just in favor of the Democratic Party, but like Hillary Clinton would go and speak at Twitter. I know this because I have a friend that worked there. He's not my friend anymore. He's kind of a cunt, but I had a friend that worked at Twitter, and Hillary Clinton like came and spoke, and it was heavily politically biased. Not to mention Twitter's like a shit company in terms of like a shit stain of property in San Francisco. They somehow were able to like bypass paying taxes on the fucking building that they inhabit or whatever, and it's a real problem because I don't know if it was like that they were bypass paying taxes on the building, or if it was that Twitter workers could move there and not have to pay taxes. Some sort of fucking tax evasion fucking shit. And everybody in San Francisco knows about that and hates Twitter. And so that is another sign of political, meddling, like some sort of bypassing. San Francisco is one of the most crooked fucking towns with the way all this shit works. So yeah, Twitter really, really, really bad in this way. We know that. And Facebook really quite bad too, though Zuckerberg, has a whole bunch of money. I don't know what his plans are. And Facebook has gotten better. They don't censor like they were during the election, like when like I reported a bunch of posts recently just to see what I could get reported, and it's been hard to get people flagged. But they've gotten better. They've chilled off. They've cooled off. I don't think Zuckerberg is as knee deep in the partisanship. I think he was. I don't know what his deal is exactly, but I do worry about Google and about YouTube as well, and especially Twitter. And I especially worry about this hit list of people where they're not just trying to get rid of them on Twitter, but they're trying to ruin people's reputations. And yeah, I'm scared, because it's like, oh, another fucking thing. This fucking unsubbing bot, this fucking thing where people, I don't think it's a bug where people are getting unsubbed. I think it is a bot. And I think that what they did, this is my theory now that it's been a few months, I think that they introduced it and it happened to everybody. I think that they made it all across the YouTube platform. Everybody was getting unsubbed from fucking, everybody was getting unsubbed from their channels and blah 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 blah. Everybody was getting complaints about it. Just random gamer channels that were pretty big were talking about it. But I think that over the course of a couple months, they stopped having it be everybody, and then they have it just be isolated channels. And I swear to God, I don't know, but I swear to God, I must be one of those fucking channels that they have it with the unsub bot on, because people keep telling me that they get unsubbed from my channel. Somebody told me today that they have been unsubbed from my channel 3 times, and it fucking sucks because like YouTube is my life these days. It has been my life for, coming up on since July, how long that is. I don't even remember anymore. But it's really all I do. I'm a live-in caretaker with a family member, and I'm trying to make this into, I don't know if I want to do YouTube for the rest of my life, but I see it as a stepping stone towards, other script writing gigs and stuff. And so, yeah, it's rough, thank you guys for being loyal supporters of me and everything. So I don't know what to do about this unsubbing bot, but it sucks because, I am like working my ass off, and I get comments all the time telling me like, oh, you should have more subs, and, that they've been unsubbed from my channel. Okay, I'm not going to go on about that. You guys have heard other YouTubers say the same fucking things. Fuck that. But here's what I really started this stream for. All this shit that's going on with Twitter, all this shit that's going on with, okay, Twitter, I think that they are trying to maximize their profits. And I think that the thing is they never had any profits. So what they are trying to do is they are trying to create a liberal echo chamber. because that's the only way that the DNC is going to continue giving them money. Like the fucking Clinton Incorporated or whatever, these people have never imagined a reality in which they're not going to get their way. They're so ruthless, and they just, the way that they've behaved, all the stuff that they've done, all of the dishonesty, and the fact that they still are going, and they still are saying the future is female, and that all this fucking, like, I just don't understand how anybody could get hired at any level of social media, working, democratic working, and various media companies. The amount, either you would have to be purely stupid, which a number of the people are, they just don't get it. They have no idea what they're doing. Like, they have no idea what their job actually is. They just know to follow orders. There's definitely a lot of those people, but there's a lot of people that know they're lying, that are complicit in all of this. These people aren't going to change. They're never going to, they can't. It's like signing up to be a part of an organized crime family and expecting to be the one that's going to make the people stop doing bad things. Like, you don't, it's just not how things work. So, you know, Twitter is only going to get money from this system, from this corrupt system, because it's not a profitable business. So, but they want to stay relevant. They want, because people use Twitter. It's, I mean, fucking Donald Trump uses Twitter. They think that this is something that matters to everybody. So what they're going to try to do is they're going to try to systematically create hit pieces on all of the YouTubers that are on, because, you know, I think that really, like, in terms of the non-regressive leftist people that are on Twitter, I think, like, it's sort of more of just an extension of YouTube. For myself personally, I only use Twitter to network with YouTube people. It's like basically the only thing I use it for. And I would say the vast majority of people who are in this, the anti-SJW skeptic political sphere on Twitter, spend a lot more time on YouTube. You know, they always have a YouTube video playing while they're on their Twitter checking things out. So they're going to try to get rid of everybody, and then make it look like that happened naturally, like, oh, there was just all these scandals and that's why these people disappeared. But no, it's very organized. They're trying to get rid of voices of dissent, and then, you know, Donald Trump will still be on there. They you know, they have a dumb plan. It's a really dumb plan. This idea that they have, so stupid, but they don't have any other options because there's so many people's jobs depending upon this working. They didn't think Donald Trump was going to get elected, so all they can do is attempt some, like, half-ass pathetic little version of damage control, and it's probably not going to work, but that's what they're going to do, because they have no other options. They have no backup plans. They have no plan B. They have no fucking, you know, they don't get a consolation prize for losing. So they are gonna fucking gnaw their own leg off because it's in a trap, even if it means dragging their limp body across the forest floor and slowly bleeding to death. They are going to do this. So, yeah, everybody get on Minds. I'm on Minds. I have like over 100 followers, even though I never use it. Thank you guys. That's awesome. You guys are cool. But, oh yeah, so I'm gonna get into the real reason why I started this stream, and let me just grab a little bit of water and respond to some chats, because you guys are typing at me, and I appreciate that, but I want a sip of water. So hold on, let me mute myself real quick. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, so here's the reason why I am doing this stream. I have been wanting to tell this story on a stream, or maybe make a video about it, but it's like a crazy, crazy story from my past. And very few people know about this because it was kind of a big deal at the time. Okay, so I can honestly say that I am like almost full-blown social media sage I have been on social media since it began. I've been on social media since the late 90s when I was in underground rave mailing lists where we would, it would be like a 500 people and you would find out about the underground rave, and it would be 300 people and there would be free acid at the door. I did that as a teenager. And then in the early 2000s, bulletin boards were popular, which, that you can still find them. 4chan is a bulletin board. Then the first thing we had was Friendster. Friendster was the prototype of Facebook. It came out before Facebook, and it might even still exist. It was pretty lame. All you had was your friends and a few photos of yourself, and you could write testimonials on people's walls, and you had a brief description of who you were, and you could write messages to people. And it was largely used for dating, to be honest, because it was like, oh, that guy's hot. Then we had MySpace. MySpace came out and it got really popular because it could do more than Friendster. And yeah, blah, blah, blah. MySpace, you guys all know it. You remember MySpace with all the hair, the MySpace hair. With the swooshed bangs and the hedgehog in the back. So then around that time, Facebook was created, and there was this other website, which nobody remembers. Nobody remembers this other one, but it was called tribe.net. Tribe.net. Tribe.net was the very first social networking site. It had all the other features, had all the pictures and the blah, blah, blah. But it was the first one to introduce to mix the bulletin boards into the social media format. So not only did you have your friends and your pictures and blah, 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 but you could also join tribes. And every different tribe was a discussion forum. So you'd have, it was like a typical bulletin board where you could go in there and say stuff and blah, 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 blah. And then you could also post pictures. And this is where it got kind of weird. You could post pictures in the album of the tribes. If you made a tribe, you could have the options be either you could control personally what the photos were in the full photo album that was attached to the tribe, or you could let anybody post photos. And so, and I shit you not, this tribe.net was completely uncensored, minus maybe things that were, illegal, like you couldn't have kiddie porn and maybe some sort of extreme violence or something, I'm sure. I mean, I don't know. It's not like I searched for that stuff. Maybe it was there. I don't know. But it was like completely uncensored. And this was in around 2003, 2004 when this came out. And I think you can still sort of find remnants of tribe.net on the web, but nobody uses it anymore. And I'll tell you exactly why. It might have to do with me. It might have to do with me in a different incarnation. So how did this all start? I didn't even mention the tribes, the tribes themselves. Half of them, not half of them, but a lot of them were porn. They were just porn. And they were just like, and it was intense porn. It was like, and this was in a period where it was hard to find porn. So it would be like, this is a tribe for dudes who like pissing on other dudes. And you'd go in the photo album and there would be like 300 pictures of fucking full on piss porn. And so this was crazy when this came out. I remember getting on tribe.net and really like looking around all the tribes and being like, what the shit is going? Like, why is this happening? Like, why is this so easy to find such hardcore porn? And I even had friends that were working in porn. Like I had this friend that was a straight couple, this girl and this guy, and they were both really cool, and they worked for a gay porn company. They met together working at the gay porn company that they worked for. Like they just did, administration type shit. And I showed them, I was like, you guys need to check out this website because it's crazy. And they're like, whoa, this is all free? That's amazing that this is free, because you would normally have to pay a lot of money for this, because it's like piss porn is not cheap. Maybe it is now, but it wasn't, 12 years ago. So there was all that shit. And tribe.net was based, it was very much West Coast, and it was very much Burning Man Festival. And every time you logged into Tribe, you'd look on the main homepage and it said, check out our biggest tribe, Burning Man. Burning Man was the big tribe that was advertised. So every time you logged in, it was like, that was the big thing, Burning Man. And almost like an advertisement. But there were no advertisements on Tribe, which was why all the fucking piss porn was there. Because Tribe was sponsored by donations. They didn't, are things starting to come together? You know how Twitter doesn't really make a profit, and Tribe was giving away all this free porn for free, but it was donations were where they got the money to operate Tribe. Was there perhaps a conflict of interest? Was there somebody out there that wanted this platform to exist for some other reason? Like maybe Twitter does. Maybe Twitter is really just, a political shill. Maybe that's all it is. Well, Tribe certainly was. I started noticing after a while that all of the there were a lot of cults. And I mean fucking cults, like real, like not even that Sargon talks about the SJWs being a cult, and he has the whole description of cults. I did my own cult research around this time, around 2005, and started looking into things like what is it called? Oh, EST, which spawned a lot of self-help cults during the 70s and 80s. They actually did a bit about them on the show 6 Feet Under. There were a lot of cults that were based around the year 2012 and the Mayan calendar, and these people trying to be science deniers and saying that science lies to you and that you should go and take acid with them and then you could be telepathic with each other and some weird shit. And so I started realizing that these people were weird, and it was also right around the time that George W. Bush got reelected, which I was really upset by, and I was wondering why people didn't vote in the election, like people who could have, voted democratically, because I was a full-blown Democrat back then. And I was like, people should have been voting. And then these like weird culty people were like, no, well, the world's going to end in 2012 anyway. It doesn't matter. That's why we didn't vote. Stupid. And I was like, okay, but what if it doesn't? And, and then we just have to deal with global warming and stuff. And they're like, well, global warming isn't real because that's just science. And I'm like, oh my God, you guys are science deniers? You fucking Burning Man people are fucking, like, what the fuck? What is going on? So I got really crazy, and I mean like really crazy. Like I got really into going around and trying to figure some shit out. And I started what was actually a very early online skeptic community, but I didn't call it that. I made my own tribe, and it was called Anti-Truth. And it was just the idea of like, once something gets on the internet, it can always be distorted. It's not necessarily true. And even our own memories are distorted. So you should always be criticizing things and trying to figure out the truth by basically being a skeptic. And that's sort of what we do on YouTube and stuff. And and my tribe had about 550 people in it over the course of a few months. So it grew pretty quick. Because back in those days, there weren't that many people on the internet. So having like 500 people is like the equivalent of having like 5,000 people on YouTube. So I got all my little skeptics, and we would find other tribes that were like culty and weird, and we would go into them, and we would figure out who the leader was, because there was always a leader. There was always a fucking leader trying to tell everybody to like not believe in science, and the world was going to end in 2012, and there's all these similarities, and we would just go and embarrass them. We would just ask them questions, and like and that they wouldn't be able to answer, and they'd get really, really pissed off, and they would, and everybody thought I was a troll. Of course, I was just a troll, but I also had a bunch of people in my corner because I had my own tribe, and people in my tribe really liked me, and so finally, after a lot of it, I finally put some pieces together, and I was like, wait, all of these people, every single one of these fucking culty tribes, they all go to Burning Man. All of them are the leaders of a camp at Burning Man. And this was true. Burning Man gives people, individuals, it gives them grants to live year round. Like, you can get some sort of like $25,000 grant straight from Burning Man, straight from the fucking corporate office of Burning Man, which at this time, this was in like 2005, Burning Man was supposed to be some sort of nonprofit, which I don't even think they pretend to be anymore. So these people, everybody who was like a weird cult motherfucker on this site was a leader, and I think they were all getting paid from Burning Man. And so then I realized, I was like, wait, this is like a weird, creepy pyramid scheme. Like, this is bigger. And so I made kind of an essay, and it was called "Burning Man is Corporate Freedom." And you can imagine what it was. I was like, yeah, you guys go to this little festival in the desert, and you act like it's cool. You think it's cool. But it's a total pyramid scheme, basically. And it distracts you from your real life, and you think the world's going to end in 2012, but it's not. And yeah. And okay, as soon as I did that, people got pissed. It got really big, and all these people were arguing with me, and I started getting threats and stuff. I ended up getting a lot of threats from this, and I mean, death threat, creepy, private message, we know where you live, shit. Like, back when that kind of thing didn't really happen a lot. Like, this was like 2005 probably. So finally, I was like, why are you guys freaking out on me so? Oh, and it wasn't just random people freaking out on me anymore. It was the head tribe.net moderator. Like there was one specific dude who was like the head moderator, and he was telling me that I couldn't post in the Burning Man tribe. I couldn't post in the Burning Man discussion forum criticizing Burning Man because according to him, he didn't have a good reason for it. There was no good reason. I was like, well, why? I'm talking about Burning Man. He's like, well, but you're not supposed to say bad things. And it was like, well, I am. What are you gonna do about it? And so he was just waiting for me to say something wrong. And so he was just being a psycho. And then I finally was like, why is this guy who's the head moderator for this whole social networking site, tribe.net, so interested in me talking shit about Burning Man? Like, why does he care so much? And I was like, wait, I know. This whole fucking thing, this whole operation is just an advertisement for Burning Man. And that's why there's the free piss porn everywhere. That's why all the fucking tribes are headed by some person who works for Burning Man. All of this. And then when you go to the homepage, it shows, look at our biggest tribe, Burning Man. It's like it's huge advertisement for Burning Man. They're just trying to get more and more people to go to Burning Man. And that's why they don't have banner advertisements. It's being paid under the table from Burning Man directly. And the other weird thing about it was that Burning Man was, as I said, not supposed to be a profit endeavor. So I was like, how the fuck does this site make money anyway? How does I that's what I want to know. And then the guy really freaked out. The actual moderator from this whole site started sending me private messages, and they were creepy. It was like some sort of very, very thinly veiled threat. And it was long and creepy. And I posted it publicly because it was that creepy. And I normally wouldn't do such a thing, but I did, and a few people saw it. A few people saw his creepy message, and but then he was finally able to ban me from the site, which he wanted to do for a while, because of the fact that I shared a private message, and that was against the user terms of service. But a few people saw it, and they thought that I would maybe just go away. It's kind of like, maybe like banning Milo from Twitter almost. And I can say this because this was like 12 years ago. So this happened to me 12 years ago. They thought maybe I would just go away. No, no, no. I was a rave DJ. I used to DJ at raves starting in 1999, and this was 2005. So I was very well connected up and down the entire West Coast. So I created, and as you guys know, I'm pretty decent at writing and being persuasive. So I said all the facts, like the things that definitely happened, and proposed a theory that this was, an under the table um uh promotional thing for Burning Man. This whole fucking social networking site was a under the table thing for Burning Man, and how that would make sense. And why else would they ban me? Why else would they be so upset about me talking about it? Like it, especially because Burning Man was not supposed to be a for-profit and endeavor. And it's like it just didn't make sense any other way. It was like I kind of figured out this conspiracy, and once I started asking those questions, they had to try to get rid of me. And so I made it, and it became a chain letter, and that chain letter went all up and down the West Coast. All sorts of burner camps, like burner camps themselves, Burning Man camps, people who went to Burning Man, all read this fucking chain letter that I wrote, and everybody said it was crazy to my face. Even my own friends, they said that I was a conspiracy theorist and blah 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 blah. But they admitted that it was fucked up that I got banned from the site. They all said I was a conspiracy theorist. But do you know what happened? Within about 6 months of all this going down, Tribe.net ended up with banner advertisements on it. It had to take advertisers, and it never did. And all of the porn had to go. It was all gone. And then any sort of like questionable, like there were tribes where you could go that would teach you how to like make drugs and shit, like it was pretty hardcore what was on there. All of it had to go. And there was banner advertisements, and nobody used the site anymore. It was the end of the platform. So this has happened before. In that case, it was the motivation of a social networking site being kept alive by artificial means of Burning Man advertisement. I think Twitter is, probably a little bit more tied to corporate politics stuff, and everybody kind of knows that. But they sort of did the same thing to me. They smeared me. They called me an insane conspiracy theorist, and they threatened me and blah 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 blah. Like, because when you get in the way of people's money, they're gonna not really act particularly kindly of that. So that's the story. That's what I wanted to get off my chest. How long has this stream been going on for? I don't even know. Oh, it hasn't been going on that long. Anybody in the chat who I might want to talk about? Honestly, okay, I want to take some questions from the chat. Guys, ask me some questions, because I can go on for a little bit more, but I'm thinking I'm just going to have this stream be solo and kind of have told that story. Hi. What songs do I DJ? Well, at the time, I was mostly a drum and bass DJ. I did vinyls. And how low does my voice go? I know I'm talking very high today. I'm in a high voice. Uh, I don't know. I don't. Well, the weird thing is that when I sing, I mostly sing lower. Like, I think I purposefully make my voice high because I identify more with high voiced people or whatever reason. I don't know. What kind of music do I like? I don't know. I like electronic indie rocky stuff. I liked a lot of the music that came out late last decade, like the band Architecture in Helsinki. It's a cool band. And yeah. How should social media sites make money? That is a good one. Yeah, the advertising thing is definitely something. I think that, okay, I envision a future where we have a little bit more two things. People can donate. People need to start using Patreon a lot more and donating to their favorite content creators. Because you guys, we work our asses off. Like it is these videos don't fucking make themselves. And maybe I work even harder than a lot of people. Like I don't think I'm a particularly hardworking person in general because I'm actually a lazy fuck. But you know, I write my scripts completely originally and record them basically every day. And so yeah, you guys should really be donating money. And but the other thing is that I think that we need to start veering as a society, and good hiring companies have been doing this for a while. They don't really look for college degrees. If you're gonna get in like on the ground floor of a good startup, for example, they would be way more inclined to hire somebody who happened to have supported themselves when they were 18 and has like lots of different work experiences and taught themselves how to do things over YouTube or something. Like if you went into a meeting with somebody who's like trying to hire a web developer and you told them that you taught yourself how to web develop since the time you were like a teenager or some shit, they would hire you way over somebody who has some fucking degree in graphic design or whatever. That's no question. If as long as you have a good portfolio. And so I think that what we need to work on as a culture is ending the stigma that college educated people are like smarter than other people, because they're not. Like it's getting to the point where it really is true that they're kind of dumb. So I think that uh you know I don't know how minds.com should make money. The paying to boost your posts thing is a good little scheme for them, definitely. But I think that also if there was a system where there was more YouTube seminar classes, like I've been wanting to do a class where I teach playwriting, and I think that it would be totally fun. I would love doing this, and I know I could do a good job of it because that was my actual major in college. I know exactly how to teach a playwriting class, and I know I'd be good at it. I've taught before. I mean, only a few workshops, but people said I was quite good at it. And so if there was some sort of system where people would teach things, and it would be easy to teach all of the fucking humanities stuff that people like teach so poorly at universities. Like you could have a real gender studies class where it wasn't just feminist brainwashing, but like actually talking about the differences between males and females and like incorporating biology. You could get 9 people to sign up for that, and it could be like a 2-week intensive or something, or I don't know, it could be like a month long. Everybody pays $150 and then YouTube gets a cut of that money or something. Some shit like that. I think that we, as we develop into the future, and I don't have all the fucking, I'm not good with crunching numbers and shit. But as we get into the future, we have to realize that so much money is being wasted in traditional university format education. And the university format education is, it's not just that it's an archaic system in so many ways, but they most of the money goes to the in terms of the staff, goes to the administration. And I think that I think the administration on most universities outnumbers the adjunct professors and the tenured professors. So oh, Mines is doing what I'm talking about, Base Mama says. Well, that sounds cool. Anyhow, the thing is about university professors is that uh they the lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. So it's a bunch of administrators, and they get all the money, and half the time they're investing on like buying all this shit they don't need for the, you know, like making new dorms and making new fancy fucking um recreation centers and weird shit like that. That is like, okay, is this stuff really needed, or is this just some property develop contract, you know, where like the administrator who fought for this new dorm to be built is back scratching some property development person, and it's just this crooked kind of inside job fucking shit where they're trying to build more shit, because so much of that is going on in the cities where universities are. There's so much just constant building for the sake of building because somebody's making money off of it. And like, we don't need that. And there's not that many things that you have to really be in person to learn. There's there's so many things that are being taught in universities that people are getting to like majors in, people are majoring in, that you can easily teach over the internet. So yeah, I think that getting people to accept that the university system is archaic and a waste of money. And this is one of the things I wasn't sure to think what I thought about free college when I was voting for Sanders. Ultimately, it was really just because I came from such a leftist background that I never thought that a Republican could, you know, possibly be good in any way. I never thought a Republican candidate would carry a LGBT fucking rainbow fucking flag on stage. That just, it never crossed my mind, and it didn't occur to me that Trump could have some cool ideas at all. When I was voting for Bernie Sanders, it was because I knew Clinton was bad, and so I was making excuses for Bernie Sanders' economic plans. And free college was just something that, like, it was like, well, they have it in some countries, right? So it could be cool. But like, man, the more I learned about like the way our universities are, they're a fucking waste of money anyway. Like, they're already, like, people are already wasting their money going to these. So the fact that like taxpayers would be paying for them, it's like, no, that's so fucked up. And even worse, you know, kids are just getting indoctrinated. It's like fucking, I don't know, like University Incorporated, and they come out even more fucked up. So yeah, we really need to move towards internet education as the educational tool of the future. And I feel very confident to say that. I get to say that. Do you know why? Because my parents are both educators. My father was a computer scientist professor for like 30 years, and my mother was taught at every level of education besides higher education, and was also on a school board in a city. So yeah, I have heard so much about education and you know, the evolution of education and what works and what doesn't. And I'm very married to the idea that way more of our education should be taking place over the internet. And if we want education to be free, we need to, or free or cheaper, which it easily can be, we need to make it free or cheaper. And we need to do that ourselves. We need to cut out the middleman. We need to, well, not necessarily cut out the middleman, that's a bad way of phrasing it, but we need to cut out the idea that we need these like overpriced buildings on college campuses where everybody has to meet, and you know, you have to like, you can just do it on the fucking internet. Do it in a Google Hangout. Do it in a fucking Skype conference call. It's not that hard. All right. Other question. Another question. Somebody give me another question. I think that Sargon's speech, sorry, not speech. I'm incapable of talking live. I think Sargon's suspension is definitely related to other things. I think that to be perfectly honest, even though he doesn't have the most subscribers, I think that Sargon has the biggest influence on all of the resistance to the regressive left. I think that he is the single greatest and most precise analytical mind that goes into things. He definitely gets things wrong, but he works incredibly hard, and he is really good at coming up with a complete amount of data. Like I say about my channel, I only probably ever go 75% as deep as Sargon goes, because it's just not my style to like make my type of video into a full-blown fucking term paper where I cite every source. So I'll refer to things without really citing them. But Sargon always really cites it and reads it out loud. So they know, they understand that like a lot of us, like people like myself, look up to Sargon and watch his channels and get some ideas from him about what we're gonna make videos about. So yeah, they definitely have it out for him. And they have every reason to have it out for him, and I think he knows it. So yeah, I don't think I think it's absolutely linked. Next question. Yeah, Sargon's channel exploded in Gamergate. Yeah, that's a good point, Carlos Villoso. Sargon's channel exploded in Gamergate. A lot of his viewers are familiar with this pattern of behavior on the left. This is very true. I think that the left's biggest mistake they've made all decade was Gamergate, because it was like, oh, you know what? We should create a completely moralistic society by enforcing rules in every realm that we can. That way, we will have a really, really, really strong moral, cultural reach. Like we can influence people by moral shaming and stuff. And they tried to take that to they were like, oh, why don't we do it to video games? Because what could possibly go wrong? They're just a bunch of fucking stupid kids, and they're like, we can make an example out of them. We could show people what what exactly is going to happen if they mess with the feminists. Because like Gamergate started by them figuring out that Zoe Quinn was like fucking attached to that dude, and they so the gamers got annoyed, and they had a good reason to be annoyed, but they were like, oh, those gamers, they just stepped out of line, let's make an example out of them. And so they they thought that they could just crush, like intimidate the gamers, and that they're like, oh, these are just some kids, they won't understand how journalism works, they won't understand like that we're colluding and that we're crooked and that it has political motivations and that blah 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 blah. Bull fucking shit. Like, not only do gamers want to win, but they're very smart. I think that I was a lifelong gamer, and for me, gaming was I had that, profound sense that nobody gets me, but it didn't matter with video games. Like, I could solve problems and feel like I was succeeding and winning at something, even if it was just a video game. And it's an outlet that it's proactive. It makes you more intelligent. It increases your reflexes. It increases your problem solving abilities. So the audacity to just, so many people. I remember my sister. I don't like to rip on my sister on my channel, but she says some really stupid shit sometimes. And one of the funny things that she said Growing up, I'll never forget this. I was probably only like 6 or 7, and I was really into playing video games. And granted, this was like all we at the time. All we had was like Nintendo. And so we would go to the video store. This is VHS. She would want to rent a movie, and I would want to rent a video game. So she always got to pick the fucking movie that we would watch, and I would get to pick a video game. But then it became a conflict of like how proportionally, how much time would I get to play the video game, and how much time would she get to watch the movie. And to be perfectly honest, I can see why this would frustrate her a lot, because like, you don't want to watch somebody else play a fucking 8-bit Nintendo game. It's not fun. Though I do wish that she just got into playing 2-player games with me, but she never did. Um, but my sister would try to make these appeals to like make it so that I had to maybe start renting a movie so that she would get to watch 2 movies instead of me getting to rent a video game. And so at one point she came up with this brilliant piece of logic, and I almost think that this is like what people who aren't gamers think about video game players. She's like, movies are better than video games because they make you smarter. Because when you watch when you watch movies, you're thinking. But when you play video games, you don't have any time to think. It's just, it's so completely absurd. So yeah, it's like, I mean, I don't do these people like not understand that it's a game, that there's a goal, that it's hard, that because like I just think that they don't. I mean, I was a lifelong gamer, and I stopped playing in 2005 so that I would devote all of that part of my brain into making electronic music, because I was, really putting my all into making electronic music. So I took about 10 years off, and then when I started looking at new video games, I was like, oh my god, these are so much better than when I left them. A lot can change in 10 years in video games, So people have no idea what gaming culture is like now, and how it is a social activity, and these people aren't like, it's not just one person sitting in their basement. And even if it is, it's one person sitting in their basement in a gigantic virtual fantasy world where you are a commander and a warrior that has to do very difficult tasks, and you play with your friends all coordinating together, and there can be like 12 of you playing at once or some shit. Like, it's not just some kid in a basement. So yeah, like the audacity of some fucking feminist like fucking Anita Sarkeesian, who's never even played video games, and all the people who put them up to it, and all the people who thought that they could just go in there and like attack these people because they stepped out of line for complaining about the quality of the journalism of the product that they consumed. The audacity, the hubris, the sheer hubris. They're like, oh, well, we're the media people. We have to be better at like media than them. No, you're not. You just haven't even, the gamers didn't even try. Like they had never tried to make videos and like make arguments and stuff. And the second they did, they ended up beating you. So they figured out your entire power system. And I think that they figured it out. Like, I think gamers understand the crookedness between the media and people who are involved in Gamergate, at least, between the media and the Democratic Party and feminism, which, it's all part of this big, I like to call it Clinton Incorporated. It is all connected, and it's easy to see that and see that type of collusion if somebody followed it. The people who work for that system don't even understand how it works. They just know that they have a job to do. So, yeah, I definitely think that Sargon was attacked, and I think that they worry about their fans. But you have to understand, these people will lose. They're already losing, and they just can't lose. In their minds, they can't lose. They don't have a backup plan, because their entire, I mean, you start a company like Twitter, You do it because you think it's going to succeed. So what do you do when your source of income, which was a political party that is no longer getting income? Fucking Clinton Incorporated. I don't know what to say about George Soros. I don't know that much about him, but at least we do know that the Clinton Foundation stopped getting donations from foreign countries. So that whole power source, that whole wealth of money and everything, that is drying up. And Twitter was a direct beneficiary of that. And I just don't see what's going to happen to them in the future. And they can attack us. They can fight us all they want because that's, what they do. That's what they will do. But they will lose because we have the good ideas on our side, and um we have the open-minded people. Anytime I ever come across somebody on Facebook who tries to like argue with me about this kind of stuff and say, "Oh no, Gamergate was just about men being sexist because they were mad that a woman was doing well," at this point I just tell them, "Oh yeah, what media company do you work for? What media company? No, no, don't be like that with me. Tell me, what company do you work for?" And then they shut up. I swear to God, they always leave. They don't even say anything. They never say, "Oh, I work for Viacom." Like they don't. It's not like they're gonna say. But it's like, no, fuck you. I have your number. You're just a fucking you're part of the fucking evil empire. Go to hell. All right, I want to take one more question. One more question. One more question. How do I feel about pedophilia being allowed on social media, but other political ideas being censored, especially with the Omnigate shit? I don't know about that question, so I'm gonna, sorry, political monkey. We'll talk about that one some other time. Michael D. Prima says, "What notable gay men helped you through their work to come out of the closet?" To be perfectly honest, well, to come out of the closet, um, who did I look up to and think was cool as a gay guy? I guess some filmmakers. Oh, Greg Araki. Yeah. Early Greg Araki movies. He's this guy, I think he's like, I mean, his last name is Japanese, but he's American. And he was a LA indie filmmaker, and his two earliest movies were called Totally Fucked Up and The Living Edge. And yeah, they were, I mean, they're not actually that good of movies. Like you look back on them and they're not that good of movies, but they had like pissed off angsty gay guys who like were hated gay culture. Like that was what I liked about it. They were like, "Oh man, all the fucking gay guys in the fucking 70s had the party, and now we're cleaning up for it with all this fucking HIV shit." So that was in like the early 90s or whatever. And yeah, I just liked the anger and the honesty of it. So I thought that was pretty cool, but it wouldn't be something that would work to this day. I like Tennessee Williams plays. He is my favorite playwright, as much of a fucking cliche as that is. But like A Streetcar Named Desire is like the one of probably the most perfect dramas ever written. At least of American dramas. So yeah, and to be perfectly honest, when I was a young kid, I really liked Dan Savage's radio show, but he's kind of a shitbag in a lot of ways. He's not great. He ended up becoming fucking full blown feminist cuck and saying that all homophobia was rooted in misogyny, which is the biggest fucking lie in the entire gay community. So fuck that. All right, you guys, I think I am gonna have to end the stream. But um, favorite artist, art movement. Geez. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I really have one. Mayo people, final solution to the Mayo people question. Okay, guys, I'm gonna end this stream, but it was good to have you. Talk to you later.